High Admiral Zyxtal stood on the command deck of the Stellar Dominion's flagship, the Inevitable Victory, his crystalline form refracting the starlight as he studied the holographic projection of Earth. After conquering 17 solar systems and studying countless primitive species, the Crystalline Confederation had developed what they considered a flawless first contact protocol. Earth would be no different, or so they thought. Status report, Zyxtal commanded, his voice resonating through the ship's crystal-enhanced acoustic systems. Science Director Velthara's facets shifted in what passed for excitement among their species. The humans appear to be precisely what our long-range scans indicated, Admiral. A Level 2 civilization, barely achieving rudimentary space flight. They still rely on chemical rockets and have only reached their own moon. Their military capabilities? Zyxtal inquired, though he already anticipated the answer. Primitive projectile weapons, basic nuclear devices, and experimental directed energy weapons that wouldn't penetrate even our lowest-grade shields, combat analyst Rwyxvor reported, his crystalline structure vibrating with barely contained amusement. Their most advanced aircraft can't even achieve escape velocity. Zyxtal's structure sparkled with satisfaction. This would be another routine first contact, another species to add to the Confederation's growing collection of protectorates. Prepare the standard diplomatic package. We'll demonstrate our superiority with a show of force over their largest military installation. Once they understand resistance is futile, they'll accept our generous offer of protection. But Lieutenant Kixera, a young officer with an unusual interest in primitive cultures, spoke up. Admiral, if I may. I've noticed something unusual in their information networks. Proceed, Zyxtal permitted, though his tone suggested impatience. The humans seem to have an unusual amount of theoretical knowledge that exceeds their apparent technological level. Their scientific archives contain detailed discussions of quantum mechanics, dark matter manipulation, and even theoretical faster-than-light travel. Theory without application is meaningless, Science Director Velthara dismissed. Many species imagine great technologies long before they can actually create them. Begin the approach, Zyxtal ordered. Standard protocol, decloak over their military base designated Pentagon, display our full battle fleet, and transmit the surrender terms. The Inevitable Victory led a fleet of 50 ships through Earth's atmosphere, their crystal hulls gleaming in the sunlight as they deactivated their cloaking fields. The formation was designed to be both beautiful and terrifying, a dance of light and power that had brought 17 other civilizations to their knees. But something was wrong. Admiral. Combat Analyst Rwyxvor's voice crackled with alarm. I'm detecting energy signatures, but that's impossible. Before Zyxtal could demand clarification, space itself seemed to fold around his fleet. Dozens of ships suddenly appeared, human ships, but they weren't the primitive rocket-powered vessels they'd expected. These vessels seemed to bend light around them, their hulls covered in a material that shouldn't have been possible for a Level 2 civilization to create. Impossible! Science Director Velthara exclaimed. They're generating quantum fields that match our own technology. A transmission cut through their communications network, bypassing their most sophisticated encryption as if it weren't there. The holographic image that appeared showed a human female in a military uniform, her expression calm but resolute. This is Admiral Helena Blackwood of the Earth Defense Force, she announced. I see you've decided to skip the customary first contact protocols and jump straight to military posturing. I should thank you, you've made my job much easier. Zyxtal's crystalline form vibrated with confusion. You can't have this level of technology. Our scans showed exactly what we wanted them to show, Blackwood finished for him. Did you really think you were the first advanced species to find Earth? We learned long ago to keep our true capabilities hidden. Those who come in peace find a warm welcome. Those who come seeking conquest. She smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Well, they tend to have very bad days. The human ships moved with impossible precision, each one taking position to target multiple vessels in Zwextal's fleet. He watched in horror as his tactical display showed their weapon systems being systematically locked and disabled by quantum fields that shouldn't exist. "This is impossible," Science Director Velthara whispered. "Their energy readings, they're using crystalline technology like ours, but more advanced." "How?" Admiral Blackwood's image remained steady. "We've been watching your expansion through this sector, Admiral Zwextal. 17 conquered systems, all level 2 or below. You should have checked for level 1 civilizations pretending to be level 2. Zwextal's form pulsed with the closest approximation of fear his species could feel. "You've been hiding your true capabilities." "Of course we have. Humanity learned long ago that appearing weak while being strong is far more advantageous than appearing strong while being weak. Now, shall we discuss the terms of your withdrawal from Earth space, or would you prefer a demonstration of just how advanced our quantum crystalline technology really is?" As his fleet hung helpless in the grip of superior forces, High Admiral Zwextal made the first wise decision of his mission: he chose to negotiate. The Crystalline Confederation had arrived expecting to find primitive humans playing with rockets and dreaming of the stars. Instead, they found themselves facing a civilization that had not only matched their crystalline technology but had surpassed it, all while maintaining a convincing facade of technological inferiority. As the diplomatic discussions began, Lieutenant Kixera couldn't help but notice that the humans seemed more amused than angry. Perhaps, she realized, this wasn't the first time they'd had to teach an overconfident alien civilization about the dangers of underestimating humanity. The greatest power, it seemed, was not in showing your strength, but in knowing when to hide it. The crystalline architecture of the inevitable victory's diplomatic chamber sparkled with tension as High Admiral Zwextal faced Admiral Helena Blackwood across the quantum-stabilized conference table. The human admiral's calm demeanor only heightened his discomfort. She acted as if having 50 disabled alien warships in Earth's orbit was an everyday occurrence. "You understand our position," Blackwood said, gesturing to the holographic display between them. "This is our solar system. We've defended it successfully against 3 other expansionist species in the last century alone. Would you like to know what happened to them?" Before Zwextal could respond, Lieutenant Kixera, who had been granted permission to attend due to her expertise in xenoanthropology, interjected. "Admiral, I found references to those encounters in their public entertainment networks, disguised as something they call science fiction." Science Director Velthara's crystalline form shimmered with sudden understanding. "You hide your military history in plain sight, presenting it as imagination rather than fact." Blackwood smiled. "Humanity learned long ago that the best place to hide truth is often in what others dismiss as fantasy. But perhaps you'd like to see what we've been keeping in the shadows while maintaining our primitive facade." She pressed a sequence into her neural interface, and suddenly the space around Earth seemed to shimmer. Massive structures phased into view, orbital defense platforms, shipyards, and research stations that dwarfed anything in the Crystalline Confederation's arsenal. "Quantum displacement fields," combat analyst Arwexvor whispered, his structure vibrating with a mixture of fear and awe. "They've been there the whole time, existing slightly out of phase with normal spacetime." "That's just the surface layer," Blackwood noted casually. "Commander Rodriguez, would you care to give our guests a proper tour?" A holographic image materialized of a dark-skinned human male wearing what appeared to be a simple uniform, but Zwextal's sensors detected energy readings that suggested it was far more than cloth. "With pleasure, Admiral," Rodriguez responded, his hands dancing through the air as he manipulated unseen interfaces. The view shifted to reveal massive underground complexes beneath Earth's oceans, manufacturing facilities that produce technologies the Confederation had only theorized about. Quantum cores pulsed with energy, and automated systems constructed ships that could literally bend space around them. "Impossible," Velthara exclaimed. "The energy requirements alone would be devastating if we used conventional power sources," Rodriguez finished. "That's why we don't." 70 years ago, we discovered how to harness zero-point energy from quantum vacuum fluctuations. Everything else flowed from there. Zwickstall's form pulsed with confusion. But your visible power grid, the primitive fusion reactors, are part of our public infrastructure, yes, Blackwood confirmed. We maintain them the same way we maintain our chemical rockets and conventional military forces. It's amazing how many potential invaders see exactly what they expect to see and never look deeper. Lieutenant Kixera's curiosity overcame her trepidation. Your population, do they know? Some do, some don't, Rodriguez explained. Those who work directly with our advanced technologies are aware, of course. Others simply live their lives, occasionally wondering why Earth seems to have such good luck when it comes to avoiding alien conquest. The tour continued, revealing more wonders: gravity manipulation systems that made traditional propulsion obsolete, biological enhancement technologies that looked like simple medical procedures to outside observers, and communication networks that operated through quantum entanglement rather than conventional signals. And now, Blackwood said, her tone growing serious, we come to the real reason we're revealing all this to you. Computer, show them the Helios array. The holographic display shifted to show a massive structure hidden behind the sun, invisible to conventional detection methods. Even Zwickstall's advanced sensors would have missed it without knowing exactly where to look. The Helios array, Rodriguez explained, is capable of harnessing our star's energy in ways your scientists haven't even theorized yet. With it, we could disable every ship in your Confederation's fleet simultaneously, anywhere in this sector of the galaxy. Why? Zwickstall's voice cracked with static before he stabilized it. Why show us this? Because, Blackwood replied, we're giving you a choice. The Crystalline Confederation can continue its expansionist policies, eventually running into other species like us who hide their true capabilities, and trust me, we're not the only ones. Or. Kixera prompted when the Admiral paused. Or you can join us in maintaining the balance. Help us protect developing civilizations while allowing them to grow at their own pace. Be guardians rather than conquerors. The crystalline aliens exchanged glances, their structures reflecting the weight of the decision before them. They had come to Earth expecting to find another primitive species to add to their collection. Instead, they found themselves being offered membership in what appeared to be a hidden network of advanced civilizations. And if we refuse? Zwickstall asked, though he already suspected the answer. Blackwood's expression remained neutral, but her eyes hardened. Then we demonstrate exactly why Earth has remained free despite countless attempts at conquest. The choice is yours, Admiral. Guardian or cautionary tale, which would you prefer to be? As the implications of everything they'd seen sank in, Lieutenant Kixera realized that humanity's greatest achievement wasn't their advanced technology or military might. It was their patience, their willingness to appear weak while building strength, to endure being underestimated while preparing for the moment when they would reveal their true power. The galaxy, it seemed, was far more complex than the Crystalline Confederation had imagined. And humanity was about to change everything they thought they knew about the balance of power among the stars. Deep within the crystalline flagship Inevitable Victory, High Admiral Zwickstall received an encrypted transmission that made his structure pulse with dark anticipation. The Supreme Council of the Crystalline Confederation had responded to his report about Earth's capabilities, and their orders were not what he expected. Your new orders are clear, the Supreme Chancellor's image flickered in the secure chamber. Accept their offer of alliance. Appear cooperative. Meanwhile, our deep strike fleet is already en route. The humans may have impressive technology, but they've revealed their hand too soon. Zwickstall's form dimmed slightly. Chancellor, with respect, you haven't seen what I've seen. These humans are clearly dangerous, yes. Which is precisely why they must not be allowed to exist as a potential threat. Execute your orders, Admiral. As the transmission ended, Lieutenant Kixera entered the chamber, her crystalline form vibrating with obvious concern. Admiral, I've completed my analysis of human historical records. There's something you need to see. But before she could continue, the ship's sensors detected an approaching human vessel. It was time to play their part in this dangerous game of deception. Meanwhile, in the quantum-shielded war room beneath the Pacific Ocean, Admiral Blackwood studied the holographic display of the crystalline fleet with Director of Intelligence James Morrison, her oldest friend and most trusted advisor. They took the bait, Morrison noted, his dark eyes reflecting the shimmer of tactical displays. Just as the Arcturians predicted they would. Blackwood nodded, watching the subtle energy fluctuations from the alien vessels. And their hidden transmission? Intercepted and decoded, thanks to the quantum entanglement sensors we planted during the tour. They're calling in their deep strike fleet, just as expected. Morrison pulled up another display showing distant sector movements. Interesting how they think they're the ones setting the trap. Humans have always excelled at letting others believe they're in control, Blackwood mused. Commander Rodriguez, status of Operation Looking Glass. Rodriguez's hologram appeared, his uniform now showing the true insignias of Earth's Advanced Defense Force rather than the simplified version they'd shown their visitors. The mirror arrays are in position, Admiral. When their fleet arrives, they'll be firing at reflections while our real forces move into position. And the Crystalline Confederation's other conquered worlds? Task Force Liberation is ready. The moment their fleet commits to the attack here, we'll free every world they've subjugated. The quantum liberation codes are already planted in their systems, they just don't know it yet. In the orbital diplomatic station where the official negotiations were taking place, neither the human representatives nor their crystalline counterparts gave any indication that they knew of the double-cross being planned by both sides. The discussions about trade agreements and cultural exchange programs continued with perfectly maintained facades of sincerity. Lieutenant Kixera, however, was growing increasingly troubled. Her research into human history had revealed a pattern that her superiors were dangerously close to repeating. Every species that had attempted to deceive humanity had discovered, too late, that humans were grandmasters of the game of deception. She attempted one last time to warn her commander. Admiral Zyx Tau, I've found evidence that the humans have developed technology that can dash. Not now, Lieutenant, Zyx Tau interrupted, his focus on the upcoming arrival of the strike fleet. Return to your analysis duties. In her private quarters, Kixera accessed the human entertainment networks again, this time seeing them for what they really were, a vast archive of actual military encounters, disguised as fiction. The stories of aliens underestimating humanity, of hidden human capabilities, of devastating counterattacks, they weren't entertainment. They were warnings. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in a facility that even most of Earth's population didn't know existed, Director Morrison supervised the final preparations of humanity's true defensive grid. The quantum mirror arrays were only the beginning. Every piece of abandoned space debris in Earth's orbit was actually a dormant weapons platform. Every failed satellite launch had secretly deployed another layer of their defensive network. Status of the Lazarus Protocol? Blackwood's hologram asked. Ready for activation, Morrison confirmed. The moment their fleet commits to the attack, every piece of their quantum crystal technology will receive our override codes. Did they really think we spent the last week giving them tours just to show off? Humanity's greatest weapon has always been our enemy's certainty that they're smarter than us, Blackwood replied with a grim smile. How many invasion fleets need to disappear before they learn? As both sides prepared for what each thought would be their moment of triumph, Lieutenant Kixera made a decision. She composed a message to both her own commander and Admiral Blackwood. Perhaps, if they understood what she had discovered about humanity's true nature, this conflict could end differently than the 17 that had come before. The message contained a simple warning: humans don't just plan for victory. They plan for victory so complete that their enemies never realize how thoroughly they were defeated until it's far too late. But as her finger hovered over the transmit button, the sensors detected the first signs of the approaching strike fleet. The time for warnings had passed. Now, both sides would learn whether humanity's reputation for turning their enemies' strength against them was truly deserved. In her command center, Admiral Blackwood watched the approaching fleet with calm satisfaction. "Let them come," she whispered. "Let them think they've caught us unaware. It's always more convincing when they believe the deception was their idea." The Crystalline Confederation's Deep Strike Fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect attack formation, 300 warships, each one carrying enough firepower to level a continent. They appeared exactly where their tactical computers said Earth's defenses would be weakest, only to find empty space. Fleet Commander Arwex Nor's crystalline form pulsed with confusion. "Where are their orbital platforms? The shipyards? Everything we saw in their display of power." "Sir," his tactical officer interrupted, "I'm detecting multiple quantum signatures, everywhere. The readings, they make no sense." Across Earth's orbital space, thousands of points of light suddenly winked into existence. What had appeared to be simple communications satellites, space debris, and antiquated weather monitoring stations transformed, revealing their true nature. Each piece of supposed garbage bloomed into an advanced weapons platform. Every dead satellite became a quantum energy projector. In his command center aboard the inevitable Victory, High Admiral Zyxtal watched in horror as his reinforcements found themselves surrounded. "Impossible. We tracked every energy signature, every quantum fluctuation." "No," Lieutenant Kixera said softly, "you tracked what they wanted you to track. Admiral, I tried to tell you, everything we thought we knew about humans was wrong. Even their demonstration of power was part of their deception." On the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship Prometheus, now decloaked and revealing its true form for the first time, Admiral Blackwood addressed the crystalline fleet. "You seem surprised, Admiral Zyxtal. Did you really think we'd show you our actual defensive capabilities during your tour? Everything you saw was a carefully crafted illusion, powerful enough to impress you, but not so powerful that you'd hesitate to try exactly what you're doing now." The quantum communications network crackled as Commander Rodriguez's voice added, "The technology we showed you was at least a century behind our current capabilities. We needed you to think you had a chance." Across the solar system, massive structures phased into reality, not the impressive but ultimately modest installations they'd shown their visitors, but vast architectural wonders that defied comprehension. The actual Helios array made its prototype look like a child's toy, its quantum processors capable of harnessing the sun's energy in ways that the Crystalline Confederation's scientists hadn't even dreamed possible. "By the way," Director Morrison's hologram appeared, looking almost apologetic, "those quantum encryption codes you've been using? We wrote them. Your entire communication network has been an open book to us since before your species achieved spaceflight. We've been guiding your technological development for centuries, ensuring you develop in a way that would make this moment possible." Zyxtal's form flickered with the closest approximation of panic his species could experience. This was all planned. "From the beginning?" "Of course it was," Blackwood confirmed. "We knew your species would eventually discover Earth. We knew you'd underestimate us, no matter what we showed you. So we planned accordingly. Lieutenant Kixera figured it out, that's why she tried to warn you. Your historical records show 17 conquered civilizations. Ours show 17,000 attempted invasions, each one ended before the invaders even realized they were being manipulated. Throughout the solar system, quantum energy fields activated, creating an interlocking network of force fields that trapped both the strike fleet and the original diplomatic vessels in a web of pure energy. But this was no simple containment field, each strand of energy was transmitting complex code sequences directly into the crystalline ship's quantum cores. "You see," Rodriguez explained, almost gentle in his delivery, "your ship's quantum crystalline technology. It's based on principles we discovered 10,000 years ago. We've spent the intervening time perfecting it, understanding every possible variation, every potential development path. The technology you're so proud of was purposely leaked to your scientists, piece by piece, generation by generation. Morrison's hologram nodded. Every breakthrough your species made in quantum crystalline engineering was carefully designed to lead you to this moment. Your ships don't just use technology we understand, they use technology we created specifically to have this backdoor. As if to demonstrate this point, every crystalline vessel in both fleets suddenly powered down, their quantum cores responding to commands that had been embedded in their basic operating protocols millennia before their construction. "This is impossible," Fleet Commander Arwex whispered, watching his mighty strike force become nothing more than precisely arranged space debris. "Our entire civilization's technological development, it was all guided. Humanity learned long ago that the best way to defend against potential threats was to shape them from their beginning," Blackwood explained. "We didn't just prepare for this confrontation, we engineered it, making sure that when it came, it would end exactly as we needed it to." Lieutenant Kixera, whose studies had led her to suspect something like this, finally spoke up. "The stories in your entertainment networks, they weren't warnings to us, were they? They were celebrations. Demonstrations of how many times you've done this before." "Very good, Lieutenant," Morrison praised. "Would you like to know why we let you figure it out? Why we made sure at least one of your officers would understand the truth?" But before he could explain, every quantum communications device in both fleets activated simultaneously, broadcasting a message that would forever change the balance of power in the galaxy, humanity's true history, not as a developing civilization, but as ancient guardians who had shaped the development of countless species across the cosmos. The game of deception was over. The time had come for truth. The vast holographic display in Earth's primary quantum command center showed hundreds of crystalline ships floating powerless in space, their once proud formations now nothing more than elaborate arrangements of inactive vessels. But it wasn't the disabled fleet that held everyone's attention, it was the stream of data now flowing through every quantum communications channel in range. "Humanity's true history," Admiral Blackwood narrated, her voice carrying to every ship in both fleets. "We achieved quantum manipulation technology not centuries ago, but millennia. We reached the stars before most species had mastered basic tools. And we discovered something terrifying." Director Morrison's hologram continued the explanation. "We found the remains of civilizations that had destroyed themselves. Species that achieved technological advancement without the wisdom to use it properly. Entire galaxies reduced to cosmic debris by beings who developed too quickly, who gained power without perspective." Lieutenant Kixera, watching from the inevitable victory, felt her crystalline structure resonate with understanding. "So you chose to become guardians? To guide other species' development?" "Yes," Commander Rodriguez confirmed. "We realized that true civilization couldn't be imposed from outside, it had to develop naturally, but with subtle guidance. So we withdrew from the galactic stage, apparently retreating to our home world, and began the great work." High Admiral Zyxtal, his form still pulsing with the shock of revelation, finally found his voice. "The quantum crystalline technology, you didn't just give it to us. You designed it to teach us. Every development stage was carefully calculated," Morrison explained. "Each breakthrough was meant to test not just your technical capabilities, but your ethical responses. When you chose to use the technology for conquest, we knew intervention would be necessary." Across the solar system, Earth's true defensive grid continued to phase into view. Not just weapons platforms and energy projectors, but vast arrays of quantum processors that had been monitoring and analyzing the development of countless civilizations for thousands of years. "Your species wasn't the first to choose conquest," Blackwood said, her tone softening. "And you won't be the last. But now you have a choice. The quantum shutdown of your fleet isn't permanent. It's an opportunity, a chance to choose a different path." Through the quantum network, images began to appear, other species, other civilizations that had faced this same moment of truth. Some had chosen to continue their aggressive ways and had been gently but firmly contained. Others had accepted the opportunity for change and grown to become partners in humanity's great project. "We are not conquerors," Rodriguez stated firmly. We're teachers. Every species that reaches for the stars must learn that power without wisdom leads only to destruction. Some learn through observation. Others, he gestured at the disabled fleet, need a more direct lesson. In her quarters, Lieutenant Kixera accessed the human entertainment networks one final time, but now she saw them with complete understanding. The stories weren't just warnings or celebrations, they were teaching tools, preparing humanity's own population for their role as guardians while simultaneously sending messages to any species advanced enough to decode their true meaning. The question now, Morrison addressed the crystalline leaders, is what you will choose. Will the Crystalline Confederation continue its path of conquest, forcing us to maintain this intervention? Or will you join us in the greater mission, helping to guide younger civilizations toward a future where technology serves wisdom rather than power? Admiral Blackwood stepped forward, her hologram appearing on every crystalline vessel. We don't want subjects or servants. We want partners. Your species has incredible potential, that's why we guided your development toward quantum crystalline technology in the first place. You have an innate understanding of harmony and resonance that could be invaluable in helping other civilizations grow. Across the fleet, crystalline forms pulsed with various emotions as the full implications became clear. Their entire civilization's development had been shepherded by an ancient race that had chosen to hide its power in order to serve a greater purpose. High Admiral Zyxtal looked at Lieutenant Kixera, who had tried to warn him, then back at the human leaders who had orchestrated this elaborate lesson. You could have simply destroyed us. Instead, you chose to teach us. That's what humanity became, Blackwood smiled. Not conquerors, not rulers, but teachers. Guardians who understand that true power lies not in forcing others to submit, but in helping them grow wise enough to choose a better path. As if to emphasize this point, the quantum fields surrounding the crystalline fleet began to pulse with new energy. But instead of weapons fire or destructive force, they transmitted technical and historical data, the true history of the galaxy, the lessons learned from thousands of civilizations, and the knowledge needed to understand humanity's greater mission. The choice is yours, Morrison concluded. But know this, whether you choose to join us or oppose us, Earth will continue its work. We will guide, we will teach, and when necessary, we will intervene. Not because we crave power, but because we understand the terrible cost of letting civilizations destroy themselves through lack of wisdom. Lieutenant Kixera stepped forward, her crystalline form glowing with determination. Admiral Zyxtal, I request permission to begin analyzing the human historical data. If we are to make this choice, we should do so with full understanding. As the crystalline leaders began their deliberations, Earth's quantum networks continued their age-old task, monitoring, analyzing, and guiding the development of countless young civilizations across the galaxy. Humanity's greatest achievement had never been their advanced technology or military might. It had been their choice to use that power not for dominion, but for protection and education. The stars had learned to fear Earth not because of humanity's strength, but because of their wisdom. And now, one more civilization faced the choice that would determine whether they would become part of humanity's great project, teaching the galaxy that the true measure of advancement lies not in the power to destroy, but in the wisdom to guide, protect, and nurture.